Welcome to the Retro Le Mans series. We're away and Kai gets away well, but Phoenix has jumped him at the start, and the two Daytona prototypes having a shocking start. Meanwhile, Joe's in the middle of the pair of them and trying to make a move, which he does do. The 38 car gets ahead, the 79 goes off and into the wall for Kai DXR, who is the Brawn driver in Silverstone, who got P4 in Retro Racing F1, but is in the wall in the first race of the Retro Le Mans series. Meanwhile, here's Joe, and off wide there's Lewis. I think he might go off, as here he is in the Daytona Ford prototype. And he has lost a lot of time in that number 2 car. Short Soda as well in the Chevy, heading down into the next corner. Very sharp hairpin. And then comes Joseph Singh, who's behind there, Fenny. So Joseph Singh in the Jackie Chan Joe delivery, number 38. Behind Phoenix in the number 41 car, and Phoenix is wide, and that will really hurt his run through this corner. Will Joe be able to make the move on Phoenix in the next corner? He's gone to the outside. Is that going to be the move made for Joseph Singh? No, it's not. Fanny stays ahead. Joe really catching up to Fanny is, I think, I don't know if you see the dot on the minimap there. I think that's DXR again going wide. Looks like he's got a lot of damage from that collision he had earlier on. But Phoenix still ahead of the Jota, and Joe nearly running into the back of the Jota and goes wide there. That might be a track limit penalty. It is. So Joe with a penalty straight off the bat. But we head down the straight then and into the next hairpin. Can Joe and the two Daytona prototypes are battling in the background. I think Lewis has just got back past Short Soda. Must have missed that, my bad. Meanwhile, Joe behind Phoenix. The battle for the lead still very close, and Joe nearly in the tyre wall. He's got to be careful there. He can't be going too wide like that on many other occasions, because otherwise he's going to face a big incident. And I think someone's just gone off. It's Lewis. Lewis has just gone off. He just went round there. I'm not too sure what he did, but it looks like he went round at the sunset corner. So the Ford Daytona prototype goes into the pits. Meanwhile, Joe goes through on Phoenix. Phoenix is off. Phoenix is in the grass. And it looks like he's gone deep on the grass. And he's really struggling then. So Phoenix in a very jumpy LMP2 versus the Jota in the number 38 ahead of him. Chaos for Phoenix in the 41 car behind the 38 Jota. Heading round the hairpin then, Joe ahead. Meanwhile, we have DXR in the pits behind Lewis. Lewis coming out of the pits. And we have Phoenix here still ahead. But we're three minutes into the Retro Le Mans series here on Forza Motorsport, and Phoenix is wide again for the second time in 2 laps. In 1 lap, should I say. Phoenix has gone off, and that already hurt his race here in this half-hour race at Sebring. And Joe with a great run at the moment. As Joseph Singh, he's had history at Sebring with a P3 finish at the FEC race way back when in the LMH category, or LMDH category, back in that league. But that league's shut down now, and the new horizon of retro racing in the Retro Le Mans series sees the commentator for the F1 series, which is also myself, commentating or driving in this series and leading ahead of the man who's finished second place in every retro racing race so far, and he looks like he's going to do the same thing here today. But Joe still ahead at the moment, heading down into turn 1 again for the 3rd lap here with 26 minutes left on the clock to be completed in this race, and looks like Joe's going the furthest in it. Oh, he's gone wide though. That might hurt his progress. They're all spaced out here in Sebring. So Joe, Phoenix, Short Soda, Miss Lewis and DX are all very spaced out on this racetrack. The closest battle track is this battle for the lead, but not exactly close, are they? As Joe's gone up 4 positions since his start. And meanwhile, Phoenix behind him, who's lost 1 position from his pole position just a lot earlier. And meanwhile, DXR's lost 3 places from where he started, where he nearly took the lead momentarily, but then he lost it all out of turn 1. But it's a great little thing to remember. This is season 0. This isn't season 1 of retro racing or the Retro Le Mans series. This is season 0 to try and get the league, like, to try and get the foundations for the league sorted. So we've got 2 races. We got 5 races. For the first 4 races, there will be over 2 nights. So Sebring and the next race at Daytona was done on 1 night, and the next 2 races, which I'm not too sure what tracks they are, but they're also going to be done in 1 night. And then the finale is going to be a big 1-hour race to conclude season 0, and then we'll have the foundation set for season 1. Hopefully better attendance, and we'll generally just have a good little launch pad with this season 0 thing that we're doing at the moment. So, but Joseph Singh leading the season 0 first race of the Retro Le Mans series, as he goes over the line into turn 1. Well, Phoenix in second. Phoenix is the one with that number 2, the yellow number 2 on the dot on the mini map. So you can see the battle for first is very, very much parted at the moment. As heading out of that corner, Joe still leads. You know what, I think there's a battle brewing between Lewis and one of the cars behind him. I think that's DXR, who's got that yellow number 5, but DXR's closing up to Mr. Lewis, so we'll keep an eye on this battle. But Lewis, he's had a pretty good run in retro racing in F1, in the F1 tier for season 1, and he cuts that corner like a hot knife through butter. So that will probably be a penalty. But yeah, Lewis, he's had a pretty good run of it. He had a pretty shocking Silverstone though, as he went through the highs and lows before ending with a low, quite literally highs and lows, as his car was caught bouncing out of Village Corner last race in Silverstone in the F1 tier, in F1 24. But here on Forza Motorsport, he's struggling with this Ford, trying to make amends. But yeah, it's good to see that we can branch out retro racing, I must say. But yeah, the white dot is the one in the lead. Obviously Lewis is the one not with the number 5 on his name, as that's the car behind DXR, who's catching him at a rate of knots. So I think DXR, I think you might be able to see him in the background momentarily. You hear the engine of that Ford flying past. If I'm not mistaken, that's a V8 of some sort. But it sounds similar to the Cadillac a little bit, I must say. It's a proper American, like, heavy, deep sounding engine, as Lewis goes very wide on that corner into this corner, and you can hear the other LMP2. Oh, I've just hit something on the controller, my bad. Oh, and in the wall for Lewis. That was unexpected. He's gone understeering into the wall and absolutely clobbered the start of that tyre wall. That's a huge shunt for Lewis, and Lewis hits the wall in dramatic fashion and has given himself a lot of damage. That means DXR does get the move done in different circumstances to what you would have thought, although he's nearly lost the car. He's drifting that LMP2 car through this section. Really got to watch out, because otherwise he's going to end up spinning the car. Yeah, DXR, he was catching up to Lewis, shaping up to have a battle with him, then just bins it. Then Lewis just bins it at that little loop-in Yoop corner thing, and he loses all that track position advantage. And now Lewis is way behind. He's now coming down the back straight past the WEC pit lane, and he's gone very wide. He's struggling with rotation on that car. I reckon he'll have to pit yet again. And yeah, he's coming into the pits. And now Joe looks like he's going to come up to lap him soon enough. We're going to have a look at Joe, actually, see if he will actually lap him. Look, there's Phoenix in the background. You can see that little red thing. We can see on the mini-map now, he's now the one with the yellow dot with the number 2 on his name, as the man trying to catch up to the man we're looking at. As Joe pits and hits the wall. Joe coming into the pits, clobbers the wall, gives his car a lot of damage, and that could give Phoenix the lead of the race. As although yes, Joe's pitting, Phoenix will have to pit at some point. Joe has given himself an extra bit of pit stop time with that damage. Absolute chaos. As Phoenix coming round the first corner, ahead of Miss Lewis, who we can see here, coming out of the pits. But Lewis, currently, still behind, still in 5th, and now he's got the leader up ahead of him. But Phoenix in that all-in LMP2, as he's in the LMP2 2020 car. DXR is also in that car, and Joe is in an Orica, but he's in the 2017 Orica, hence why he's got the Jackie Chan 38 livery. As he did have the 2020 Orica, but he did sell it in order to get some hypercars for the up-and-coming Lando MCL WEC thing that's starting soon. As all going deep is Phoenix. Phoenix goes deep again at that corner under braking. He's made a mistake, and now that could give Joe that time that he lost when he hit the wall in the pit lane. That could claw back some of it. I don't know if it'll claw back all of it. That will claw back all of it, or it won't. What a drift by Phoenix. Phoenix looking like something out of Fast and Furious. Someone's off. Lewis is off again. Lewis is off. I've already caught the back end of it though. But it looks like he just went off, I think. May have gone deep in this corner. Someone else in the pits. That's DXR, who's... Hang on. There he is. He's coming in the pits. Meanwhile, where's Joe? He's currently pushing at the moment. He's nailed that corner, I must say. As heading down, we have Short Soda in the Chevy, and he's off in the grass, mowing the lawn. So everyone's struggling here with this category of cars. There's GT4 cars that can be used, and Devon's is going to be using a GT4 next race in Daytona, so keep an eye on that one. But the number 10 of the Corvette is struggling as he comes through the Yui and out into the next corner. And remember, Sebring, it has a lot of retro heritage. You know, this is why I love retro racing commentary, because it does go old school, it does go classic. Obviously, it hasn't gone classic with the cars this time, which is actually a good point, but it is retro in terms of the tracks that it races at, and it does really holds the heritage of motor racing on a pedestal, which is great to see. As I think Lewis is about to get lapped by Joe. But yeah, here at Sebring, there's obviously Sebring. It's one of those tracks because it's never been resurfaced. That's one of the main things. It's never been resurfaced or changed or anything. It's pretty much just been left the way it is for years and years now. And wall wide for Lewis. He goes off on the grass in the wall, and yep, Joe's gonna go past there. There he goes. But Joe passing Lewis, and again Lewis struggling with this Ford Daytona prototype. As about to be Short Soda coming into the pits, and he's currently getting his car fixed as well. Meanwhile, now Joe in the Orica behind Phoenix, the leader of the race, heading through with 16 minutes left on the clock here at Sebring. Yeah, I think he's just waiting for Phoenix to pit. Someone's off. That is Lewis again, off in the wall. The same corner that he went off a couple laps ago. I think it was the lap where Joe was about to pit. Lewis went off. Meanwhile, the leader, Phoenix, catching up to DXR. Keep an eye on Phoenix here, because he's catching up to DXR, who himself is catching up to Short Soda as well. Short Soda's in that yellow dot, and the red dot in the middle of the white and yellow dot is DXR, the man you've just seen fly out a picture in that more blue LMP2 car. And then the guy with the blue gamer tag in the red 41 car, that is the leader, Phoenix. And you might be asking, where's Joseph Singh in this situation? He's the one with the yellow dot just there, heading through turn 2 and 3. Short Soda looks like he's going to have a battle here with DXR. DXR looking like he's going to try and nab P3 off of the Chevy Corvette. As he goes to the inside, DXR doesn't make the move stick, but Short Soda goes very deep under braking and heads to the grass. That is not an ideal racing line, I must say so myself. Short Soda, he might have needed to go a bit shorter on the brakes there, because he left himself with nowhere to go, and as a car stopped, I don't know what's happened to Lewis, as Lewis has spun through the hairpin, so he's heading into the pits, just under the halfway mark now here in this league, and Joseph Singh looks like, I think Joseph Singh just went off, I'm not too sure though. Well, I think DXR's going to get passed by the leader, but he's, oh, there's a bit of contact there between the pair of them. Phoenix getting passed by DXR. Yeah, that's the closest battle on track at the moment. Lewis back in the pits then, looking like he's going to get lapped by Phoenix again. Phoenix hasn't pit yet though, and I'm surprised at that, to be honest, because everyone else has pit so far, I think, maybe apart from DXR, but looks like Phoenix has gone for a long, heavy fuel strategy. That might explain why he was going off at the start with the heavy fuel, as we can see coming out of the pits there. Lewis coming out of the pits in that Daytona prototype. Coming out, he comes out just in between the leader and third place. It's coming through, he goes wide though, over the grass, and he goes wide again. Lewis struggling with overall handling in that car. Maybe he needs to use a bit of ballast or something, I'm not too sure. That car is looking like a handful to drive at the moment. It looks like it's either understeering, under braking, and then oversteering under traction in a huge way. And it's really sending him off course here in Sebring. As that car is more tailored towards Daytona than it is Sebring, I'd say. So I reckon he might have a better time of it in Daytona. Where I think Devons is going to join us as well. I think the leader has just gone off, Phoenix. He's gone in the grass again at this corner. So I think that's the third time he's done that. No, the second time he's done that. I'm getting them confused with Lewis now. But yeah, he's struggling through that corner. And again with that drift through that corner, power sliding through. It's great to watch, but it's going to hurt his tyres a lot. As meanwhile, Joseph Singh's just there. He's the yellow dot. So that's the man who's going to be able to contest with him for the win, as he is on the same lap as Phoenix. Obviously has one more pit stop than Phoenix at the moment. As Phoenix, whoa, what corner card, that will be a penalty surely. As Phoenix though, the white dot, as you can see on the map, but the red 41 car goes to the inside to lap the 47 car. Just going through, I think it's the 47 car, I could be wrong. Coming out of that corner, DXR. Oh no, it's 79, my bad. The 79 car being lapped by the 41. Meanwhile, the 38, that yellow dot with number 2 on it, trying to catch up to the 41. Yep. As we head into turn 3 with the LMP2s sneaking around there as Phoenix. Meanwhile, someone's in the pits. That's Short Soda back in the pits. So interesting to see Short Soda back in the pits. Here's Joseph Singh. We haven't seen him in a while in the 38 Jota. He's been doing quite well, although he's losing the car there. He needs to keep that car in a straight line, not end up in the wall or anything. As meanwhile, Phoenix, with 11 minutes to go, it looks like he's fueled. He's looking like he's going to try and stay out for the entire race here. So, or if he is, he's pitted very late on, I must say, as Short Soda comes out of the pits, as I think Joe pitted earlier on. He was hoping to trigger some sort of a undercut. It looks like Phoenix is just gonna plain ignore it and just wait for it to go down. There's something happening here. I think Joe behind Lewis. Lewis has gone off though. Joe gets back past and laps the number 2 Ford. So the Ford not having the best of times here. As Phoenix coming through, we see Joe's just lapped Lewis. Now, is Phoenix going to pit this lap? I'm not too sure. Depends if Joe is within the pit stop gap. Like, if Phoenix pits, will he come out behind Joe or not? Depends, really. He's going to have to come through. I reckon he'll have to pit soon. He'll have to pit with, like, either now or in maybe 2 laps. I think within about 3 laps would be reasonable. But I don't think he would be able to get to the end. So that would be ridiculous, I'd say, but yeah, heading through. Phoenix is Joe coming around the last corner. Let's see what Joe's up to then. He comes around the last corner, and he's coming into the pits. Joe back in the pits. Interesting. Is he trying to encourage that undercut even more? He's pitting onto a bit more fuel, but also onto soft tyres. He'd been on medium tyres the entire race, but he's now pit onto soft tyres for this end stint. Interesting. There's Lewis here. Oh, what's Lewis done? He's at the pit entry. Looks like he might have spun at the pit entry. As now he's in the pits, nice and safely. Now, so let's see if Phoenix reacts to that by Joe. Joe trying to re-trigger the undercut, which is interesting. But he's now made one more pit stop than Phoenix, but he is on fresh soft tyres with low fuel to the end. Phoenix has been trundling around this track and trying to avoid a pit stop, it looks like. But heading through downshifting, and he's really aggressive into braking through that corner. As again, he does have a good bit of momentum through the corners that just seems to work for him every single lap. Joe is now that yellow dot. The white dot is your race leader there, Phoenix, the number 41 in the red. Heading through them. What does the Orica do? Does he react to it? I think he's coming in. He's coming in. He does react to that undercut attempt by Joe. And let's see if he'll get fuel done in his car or not. And also let's see what tyres he goes on to. I reckon he'll go on to softs for the end. Coming out the pits. As he wasn't held for long, so it depends how much fuel he just put in there as well, because depending on the fuel he put in, or if he put in any fuel at all, that could determine how quick he goes, because I reckon he's on soft tyres now, so he's going to have to fly around this track and just try and hold the gap from Joe. But there he is out of the pits. Joe's that yellow dot just at the final corner now. But Joe's got a bit of a way to go to catch up to Phoenix. So I don't want to say it's over, but at the same time, I can't exactly say that it's on either. There's the 549 gamer tag in the LMP2. As there won't be a GT4 winner in this race today, so nothing happened in the GT4 category. Devins is the only one on that entry list, and he obviously isn't racing today, so he isn't racing for this race anyway. But heading down into the next section of corners. Whoa, very deep under braking there. I think that was the limit of braking through that corner. I think, did Joe just go wide? He might have done. No, I think he's okay. But he's heading through there. He's coming over that section, and Short Soda's back in the pits. Let's see. I think so, heading out that corner, Short Soda. What's happened to Lewis? He's just come to a stop on the straight. As there goes DXR back past him, and Lewis is trundling towards the line. I reckon he's run out of fuel. He's run out of fuel, and he's barely trundling towards the pit lane. Meanwhile, DXR looks like he's going to come out ahead of Short Soda and lap him. But Phoenix, oh no, that's Joseph saying, that is Phoenix. He's just gone back past the Ford. Wow, very aggressive on the way in for Phoenix, heading around that final corner. So this will be interesting if Joe can catch him. And Phoenix is boxing again. Fenix is boxing for more fuel. It looks like he must have not done enough fuel. He's come back in for some more fuel and the... Oh, I did done that. It's done what I think it's done, isn't it? Okay, so there's been that glitch again. There's a glitch in the replays at the moment where it kind of stops it, like, with 5 laps to go. So, yeah, I need to... I'm gonna... What am I gonna do then? I don't know. Yeah, so that's the end of that one then. Right, well, I can tell you the order. Fenix pit again, so Joseph Singh won ahead of Fenix. Then comes DXR, then comes Short Soda, then comes Mist Lewis. I'll catch you in the next race in Daytona, and we'll hope that we don't get this glitch again. Thank you very much.
Joe, are you going to keep this one?
No.
Oh,
Have it.
so I'm gonna put it in my bag.
Yeah, have it, have it, have it.
Because I'm saving quite
Yeah.
a lot recently.
Yeah, it's fine, have it. Just about into the mic, that's a great thing for you to hear. Anyway. Alright, here we go then. We do have a GT4 this time. Here we go then, for Daytona. We're away for the Retro Le Mans Series, the second race of this season, of Season 0. We head into Turn 1 then, there's a lot of things happening. Lewis there, really getting into the thick of it, flying through back past a bunch of LMP2 cars, as there's Fenix there and Short Soda as well, who's changed from his Chevy Corvette into an LMP2 Orica, and wide for Short Soda, who's gone straight off into the grass there on the outside. That's a shocker for him. Meanwhile, Fenix ahead, and he's side by side with Joseph Singh. Joseph Singh side by side with Fenix, and he gets the move done. Joseph Singh, what a start by him. And he's now looking for a move on Lewis, and there's someone off. That's Fenix, who goes straight off behind him. I was wondering what all that dust was, and it was Fenix kicking up all that dust and flying to the other side of the track. Meanwhile, DXR leads ahead of this battle with Lewis, and then comes Joe, and then comes Fenix. Devon's leading in the GT4 class, and he's currently leading ahead of Short Soda in the other LMP2. But what a start by Devons, who is currently the only GT4 in this race, as Joe looking to catch up to... Oh, he just got past Mr. Lewis there. I must have missed that. So Lewis has been passed by Joe, and he's now into third. The number 2 Ford heading through the bus stop chicane. And he's gone down the wrong road. He's gone wide. That's going to be a painful one to stop. He does get it stopped, but that will really affect his run there. And I reckon Fenix will be able to get the move on him. Chaos here at the start, here in Daytona, as Fenix looking to catch up to Lewis hit there. And Lewis has been passed by the man who's finished second in every race here in Retro Racing so far. Meanwhile, here's Joe looking to get the move on DXR for the lead of the race. Both Oricas going for it. The number 38 Jackie Chan Jota versus the DXR number 79 machine. Joe not able to make the moves there. There's a couple cars you can hear in the background. Joe on the exit there, as looks like Lewis has dropped back a bit from Joe, as from Fenix, should I say, is heading through that. Joe just behind there at the moment. He's not able to get a move done. Meanwhile, Lewis here heading up behind Fenix. Is he able to get a move done? No, he's not. As meanwhile, Joe going to the inside. Is he going to get the move done on DXR? He block passes. Very nice to avoid any switchback attempt from DXR. He parks that car on the apex. Very good positioning of his car there for Joe. But meanwhile, we head through. And Joe looks like he's going to stay ahead for the moment. Into the chicanes, down the inside goes DXR, he goes for the move, Joe brakes early. Joe was very hesitant on the brakes there, DXR reacted to it and has now got the lead back from Joe. And Joe now, they both get back onto the track, and now Fenix is going to get in on the action here. This could be fun. There's the 79 car here of DXR. And now on the outside is Fenix, who got a much better run out of that chicane. They go side by side through the banking. It could be 3 wide as they head down the banking. No, it's not, as Joe's too far ahead. But look at this battle. They head round to start the next lap. And into turn 1 for the 3rd time. Round the outside for Fenix. Is he going to get the move done? No, he's not. DXR now looking to capitalise as Fenix left himself a little bit vulnerable there. There's Joe now heading through as Fenix behind Joe. Ahead of DXR. Now has to play the hunter and the hunted in this situation. So he's got to try and make a move on Joe without hurting his race too much and allowing DXR to capitalise. DXR's going to be watching all of this, waiting for a gap to open for these two. As going wide there is Fenix. He's gone off. He's spun and he's hit the side of DXR's car. DXR, Fenix, both of them spin. That was a huge moment in this race. And DXR's round again. DXR's round again. We just saw that in the background. DXR round. Fenix spun on the grass into the side of the 79. Now the 41 gets the lead as Joe makes a mistake heading through that corner. Now Fenix struggling on the banking with the apron, but now heading through. I think Joe's just gone on the high side of him now. Yeah, he has. So Joe on the high side, although it looks like Fenix might be able to get the move done as Joe's very early on the brakes here. Fenix does get the move done heading into the Le Mans chicane. And Joe looks like he's got a much better exit though. He's going to go for the inside of the second part of the tray oval. He was flying round. As now Fenix on the outside looking to stay ahead of Joe. The GT4 car is that blue car, if you're wondering what that means on the map. As here comes Fenix then. Is he going to make the move? Joe goes to the apron. That could be an in-game penalty. As Joe ahead of Fenix. Round the outside for the number 38. Fenix though still ahead. Oh, over the grass there for Joe. And Fenix gets the lead back. Although Joe lay on the brakes down the inside. Fenix not letting him have it. This is a great battle here in LMP2. As Short Soda's in the pits after a bit of issues, a couple issues in his race so far. So he's in the pits. He's the one with that yellow dot. So meanwhile, the yellow dot on the mini-map, I mean. Heading round as Fenix goes wide. Joe looking like he can capitalise, but not able to make the move stick. So he's going to have to wait for another opportunity. But that LMP2 that Joe's driving has a lot of straight line speed, it looks like, as Fenix goes wide. Joe looking to get the move back on the inside. Oh, there's contact nearly between Fenix and Joe. If there wasn't contact, they were millimetres from it. Joe, though, ahead of Fenix. But Fenix, though, looking to stay on the high side, but not able to make the move stick. But Joe ahead of Fenix. Joe keeping to the outside. Fenix, though, not able to make anything of it. He goes to the inside. It's a big move. Joe keeps it ahead, though. They make contact. Joe making contact with Fenix. And Fenix in the grass. Joe broke early there. Kept it on the outside. And Fenix making contact. Joe looks like he's feeling bad about that. Looks like he's slowing down to let him back past there. As Fenix went for the move. And Joe kind of parked his car on the apex. Sending the 41 car off, and now he's riding the wall nearly, is Fenix. Heading through. Fenix and Joe there. Over the line they go again. Joe looking for the outside, not going to get it done, or is he? He's gone for the outside yet again. It could be a great move by Joe. He goes late on the brakes on the outside. No, he's not going to make it stick. There's way too late on the brakes there for Fenix. In the 41, he stayed tight to the inside there and let Joe have no room. Joe goes for the move though, deep on the brakes on the inside. He goes on the grass and avoids contact with Fenix. But Fenix though, looking like he's gone wide there. Joe looking like he's going to make the move stick on the outside of this corner. This will be very daring as he goes for it and goes onto the grass. And there's just not enough grip through there. And Joe having to take the alternative layout, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the rallycross layout. So Joe having to come back onto the track here. There's a billboard in the middle of the track. Joe came out ahead in the lead, but he's going to have to give that place back, which he does by going wide here. Fenix takes the lead back, as you can see, but Fenix in turn goes wide though. And meanwhile, DXR, that yellow dot on the minimap, is right behind those two. You might see him in the background soon, as Joe and Fenix battling like animals leaves DXR to capitalise. As meanwhile heading through into the bus stop chicane, the Le Mans chicane. Fenix currently ahead of Joe for the lead of the race, the number 41 in P1, ahead of Joe. And Joe though looks like he's got a storming exit again, and he's going to go for on the outside, but no, not able to make the move stick on Fenix, who covers the outside. Now Joe on the Now they both go to the low side. They fly through. Joe looking like he's going to try and make the move stick here on Phoenix. Into turn 1 again. DXR can watch this all from P3. Joe looking like he's going to try on the outside. It could be a daring move. He's going for it late on the brakes. He's trying it around the outside. He's found grip somehow though and kept it on the outside. He's ran out wide though. They're still side by side heading through turn 2 and 3, but Joe keeping it on the outside. Late on the brakes into turn 4 on the inside this time. Phoenix though keeps it on the outside as well. Great battling, although he goes wide. Phoenix goes wide, losing traction, and Joseph Singh gets the lead back in the 38 Jota ahead of the Orland, should I say, car of Phoenix in the number 41. But now there's nearly contact between the pair of them heading into the second horseshoe. But now, what an absolute crazy battle here, and DXR looks like he's going to try and join in. Phoenix going really tight on the inside there. Does that leave him any option? I don't know. They all go very much on the high side. It looks like DXR's got a run of all runs. They go through 3 cars fighting for the lead here. There goes Phoenix, there goes Joe, there goes DXR. They could be 3 wide as they head through. As Joe, Phoenix, and DXR, they're 3 wide heading into the bus stop chicane. Who's going to back out of this one? Joe on the outside, you can barely see them. As Phoenix gets ahead, DXR and Joe both back out at the same time, and both somehow not crash. I was waiting for them to pirouette, but they don't crash. That's absolutely insane. DXR though on the inside of Phoenix, looking like DXR could go from 3rd to 1st in 1 lap. Nearly contact there with Phoenix as he heads through onto the finishing line, down the start-finish bank, and into turn 1 again. Joe on the apron, straddling the apron. Oh, nearly round there for DXR, trying what Joe tried on the last lap. But Joe really able to find some grip on the outside of turn 1. Absolutely crazy move, but Joe looked like he's going to go deep on the brakes. No, he's not going to make that move stick. Phoenix on the grass. These 3 LMP2 cars really going for it here in Daytona. In Sebring, it was all about strategy and just trying to keep the car, you know, as quick as possible and trying to capitalize on people's strategy and people's misfortune. Here, it's just make a move and try and get in front with all means you can, as Phoenix there being hounded again by DXR on the outside this time. Joe trying the inside. Is it going to work? DXR keeps second, doesn't get ahead for the lead. And now DXR struggling for traction, meaning he had to go tight as he headed onto the banking. That'll affect his run. That means Joe can maybe have a shot at him heading through the banking. These LMP2 cars. Oh, there's contact. Phoenix is round. Phoenix looks like he just hit the brakes or something. DXR hit the back of him, and round goes Phoenix. You can see Phoenix in the background getting back up to speed, but Phoenix with a big spin there. That almost looked like a Hot Wheel car on a treadmill. That was a big spin, as now you can see Lewis trying to catch up to him now. And now Phoenix is wide over the bus stop chicane, as the GT4 Devons getting ahead of Short Soda, who's in the pits again. As Joe got the lead from that contact with DXR and Phoenix, and they both pit. Both of them into the pits. Joe running out of fuel. DXR probably has damage. Depends if Fenny picks as well though, because if Phoenix pits, then he could maybe jump those 2. But yeah, he's coming into the pits as well. That means Missed Lewis is going to take the lead here in the LMP2 race here at Daytona. What a race it's been so far for the Ford. After a difficult race in Sebring, he's kept his nose out of trouble. He was really getting involved in it at the start, really bullying the LMP2 cars around him, like the Orikov, Short Soda and Phoenix, trying to muscle his way past the pair of them, and nearly took second early on. He goes wide there though. But Miss Lewis now in the lead after that chaos with the LMP2 cars. Let's see what happens with DXR. Joe ahead of DXR. Meanwhile, it looks like Short Soda, who just pit before that chaos, is now behind Devons in the GT4 car. In the classifications, he's wide, he's going to go in the wall. That's a big hit for Short Soda. Again, struggling under braking. He was struggling with that in the Corvette in Sebring on one occasion, maybe 2. And there's a car off. Another car off. That's Phoenix. Phoenix is off again. No, it's Joseph Singh. Joseph Singh's off again at the second horseshoe. Interesting. So Joseph Singh, being the third one in this race, maybe the fourth, to go deep at that corner. It looks like he might have hit the grass on the entry and just spun the car. And now DXR is well ahead of Joe. So DXR though, looking like he's going to be the next one to try and challenge Lewis, who's in the lead. Meanwhile, Devons, who's currently leading he's going to lead the championship in GT4, as he's actually the only one to enter a race in GT4 in that number 17 car. So Devons, who nearly won in the San Marino Grand Prix in retro racing in F1, before retiring in some strange circumstances, now leading the GT4 class here in the Retro Le Mans series here at Daytona, where Audi had a pretty good. Did Audi have a good race? They're not even part of IMSA this year, are they? I don't think they are. Well, they might be. I'm not too sure, but if they are, then I haven't seen them this season. That's one of Audi's most well-known drivers, Calvin van der Linde. He's had a very good period in WEC this season. Meanwhile, I think there could be a battle between Joe and Phoenix again. As Phoenix, no, who's Joe catching? I think Joe's catching Short Soda, maybe, or just got past Short Soda. He has, so Short Soda's gone off again at the second horseshoe. And that car looking like it's struggling, as he's now off in the grass there. And I think he might have DNF'd. So it looks like Short Soda could be out of this race. As meanwhile, the GT4 leader going into the bus stop chicane, the LMP2 leader just coming around the banking, coming up to lap him soon. As there's DXR being caught up by the 38 car Joe. Heading round there, can Joe potentially make any kind of move on Phoenix on DXR in the next few laps? I'm not too sure. Phoenix has dropped back a lot though. But yeah, Short Soda has officially DNF'd from the session. And now that means he will finish behind the GT4 in his first race. And yeah, heading out of that corner, it looks like DXR though has got well ahead of Joe. Heading out of that corner, Joe and DXR, what's going to happen here? Round the outside of Joe goes round the outside of DXR goes Joe. And Joe gets ahead up into second, and now he's the one chasing after the LMP2 race leader of Miss Lewis, who hasn't pit yet. But with 40 minutes left on the clock, Joe struggling on the outside there. Looks like he might leave a door open for DXR if he does that a couple more times over the grass there for DXR. Joe doesn't have his lights on as well. He hasn't been able to turn his lights on yet, so that might hurt him on later on in the night. But you know, as he heads out of that corner, the winner from Sebring, currently in second at the moment, but he's in the net race lead in terms of pit stops because Lewis will have to pit soon enough. I think that's been I'm just getting confused because Short Soda's car is still on the map. So we head through them, and Joe there coming out of that corner, round the banking, and into the Le Mans chicane. Meanwhile, we have Devons, who is going to get lapped shortly by the LMP2 leader. So we're going to see the two leaders going side by side. We can hear him in the background, the Daytona prototype, coming up to lap the Audi. Flying through there. You know, I think DXR and Joe looks like they're still very close together. But here is Lewis. He's going to go around the outside of Devons. There we go. The two leaders exchanging positions on the track. So it's been a good race by Devons so far. Can he keep that car in? Can he keep that car in a straight line and take the full prize points for winning for Audi here today? Meanwhile, DXR behind Joe, who's currently up ahead of him, and he's going to be the next one to lap the Devons. I think this is the first time they've actually properly had to lap Devons, because Like, they've only lapped him in the pits or elsewhere. So since the start, Devons hasn't really fought with the LMP2s that much. So yeah, they head through. And, oh, I think I just heard something. I'm not too sure what that was though. I heard something go like bash, but I didn't really hear what it. Couldn't really make out what it was. But yeah, Joe lapping the GT4. DXR Kai is going to be the next one to do the same thing. So yeah, the sun is setting here, and you can see the picturesque view. These LMP2 cars with the kind of sunset effects that it has. This race will end under night lights for the next 10 minutes. But Joe is actually catching up to Miss Lewis a lot. So it depends if Lewis stays out to try and defend Joe, or if Lewis just waits for Joe to catch and then pits. I'm not too sure. But heading down then. Retro Le Mans Series has just over 10 minutes left here at Daytona for the second race of the season. Joe though, looking like he could take a big haul of points, a big move to the lead of the standings here. As we head through Joe and Lewis side by side, as Joe goes to the move on the inside, Lewis covers it. So Joe not able to make the move stick there, although he's going to go to the outside, use as much track as he can, which Lewis isn't doing. We head into the kink there. We see the Ferris wheel lighting up. We see Joe having a bit of lights, but not a lot of lights, as down into the next corner. Joe's to the outside. Is he making the move stick? Just about. It's going deep. There's DXR. He's struggling under braking. Meanwhile, as we see the Ferris wheel going around, we see Joe looking to go round, maybe on the inside or the outside of Lewis. He's looking on the inside, but Lewis defends very aggressively there. As Joe looking to maybe go to the high side, and nearly contact with Lewis. As Lewis move into the high side very late, but he looks like he'll get away with it, as it was just early enough for Joe to see. Meanwhile, DXR's going to be the next one to catch up to Lewis. So Lewis there looking for a move. He doesn't get the move stick on Joe, but he's also got to not lose too much time to Joe, because otherwise DXR's just going to steam by him. So DXR again being behind the two leaders, waiting to capitalise. So Lewis in the only Daytona prototype car in this race. A short soda was in a Daytona prototype for Sebring, but moved as that 3 wide, heading over the line. And into the pits goes Lewis. That could have been really bad look, great driving by Lewis to be able to make it 3 wide and make it into the pits without causing a massive shunt. But DXR does take it from Joe then. So Joe trying to find his way back past Lewis, lets DXR through, and Joe doesn't have high enough lights and he can't change it. So Joe could struggle with that later on in the race. So we see the Jota coming through there. As now Phoenix looks like he's going to be able to catch, as he's just lapsed the GT4 car Devons. We head into the next corner with the leader, or with the man in second behind the leader. And heading out of that corner, Joe looking like he's going to be able to make a move stick. He's going to go through the hairpin and just try and keep that car ahead at the moment. As we head through with Joe heading around the banking. Joe has good straight line speed, remember, so he could make that move stick soon. That yellow dot we'll make the yellow dot as Phoenix, as he's the next car behind this battle. Joe the red dot behind the white dot. As we see Joe there through the Le Mans chicane, trying to capitalise on DXR. And now he heads through the second speedway with 7.5 minutes left on the clock. As heading through there, is Joe going to be able to make a move stick? And he goes into the pits. Joe pits. So it looks like he's going to have to fix that car up. And now, is he going to come out ahead of Phoenix or behind him? I'm not too sure. Let's have a look at Phoenix there. Joe's going to be the one with the yellow dot, as you can see, in the pit lane. Keep an eye out, because Phoenix there. Is he coming into the pits as well, though? He is! Phoenix coming into the pits. So both of them in the pits. Oh, Phoenix hit the wall there. Wow. As meanwhile, Lewis, looking like he's going to be the one to capitalise on the pair of them. Joe coming out of the pits though. This is going to be tight between him and Lewis. As Lewis coming around the banking, you can see Joe coming out of the pits just there on the very left hand side. And Joe's out, I think. Joe's going to come out of the pits though. There's Joe there. You can see the red lights. I think that Joe has just come out ahead of Lewis. Unless Lewis makes a move, which he might try and do. He's going to go deep on the brakes, but Joe covers the inside. And I think that should be it, as Joe is on fresher tyres now. As Joe goes wide though, he can't afford to do that too much, I must say. It's heading down. We have... Oh no, it's done this again. Why does it keep doing this? Right, so we've had more technical difficulties. But I strongly recommend going to see the onboard POV, as there's a clip at the end of the race which is absolutely mental, where Joe and DXR are battling. They come up behind Devons and Miss Lewis while battling for the lead, just coming off the banking into the Le Mans chicane, and then Phoenix comes through backwards to past the pair of them. It's a mental clip. I'll have to link it somewhere. But yeah, unfortunately, Forza having a glitch at the moment with its replays, where with about 5 minutes left to go, or 6 minutes left to go in the races, it just cuts you off. It's happened a couple of times. It happened with the Friday Night Fenders video that I tried to do, and it's happened here as well. So yeah, unfortunately, gonna have to cut this recording off here as well. It happened in Sebring as well, which is annoying, but yeah. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye.